Are you guys ready for a little good news? Now, there's some caveats here, okay? What I'm about to show you, Ecos Polling Company on 338 has a B plus rating. It's in the same category as Angus Reid, okay? It's not as high as Leisure or Nanos or Abacus, okay? But let's have a look. So you ready? You ready for a little good news? Liberals break 30 points following Trump's inauguration. And this is from Ecos Polling. So like I said, they're considered by 338 as a B plus, right at the same level as Angus Reid. Not as good as like Leisure and Nanos and Ipsos, but on the same par as Angus Reid. So, in a rather dramatic recovery, the Liberal Party has surpassed the 30-point threshold for the first time since September 2022 and now sits at 32%. Indeed, the party is now tied with its vote share in the 2021 election. Meanwhile, at 39%, the Conservative lead has narrowed to just 7 points. A significant shift from the 25-point advantage the party enjoyed in the wake of Chrystia Freeland's resignation a month ago. While the Conservatives would no doubt win the most seats if an election were held tomorrow, it is unlikely they would form a majority government given the renewed Liberal support in Ontario. And Ontario has decided that they like the Liberals again. It's driven by three factors. Justin Trudeau's resignation produced a modest but noticeable boost to the party's standing. Second, the extensive media coverage of the Liberal leadership rate accelerated this rise. Finally, the cavalcade of radical announcements from the freshly inaugurated Donald Trump has spurred a renewed sense of national identity, prompting Canadians to rally around their incumbent leaders in a show of solidarity. Both major Liberal leaders, hopefuls Mark Carney and Chrystia Freeland, have taken definitive stances against any potential tariffs imposed by the Trump administration. In contrast, Pierre Poilievre's reaction has been somewhat more muted, as he has the unenviable task of reconciling the diverging positions of other Conservatives, particularly Doug Ford and Danielle Smith. Instead, Mr. Poilievre's focus has been on the carbon tax and Mr. Trudeau, which may no longer be the salient issues. His framing of the election may need to pivot, and the results so far are not working in the Conservative Party's favor. At 14%, NDP support is down slightly from the period following Chrystia Freeland's resignation, whereas the party was in a statistical tie with the second-place Liberals a month ago. The party now finds itself trailing the Liberals by nearly 18 points. It appears that Jagmeet Singh's signaling that the party would bring down the government at the next opportunity was not the produced dividends. Indeed, it may have had the opposite effect, and we've seen that on social media. Turning to the regional and demographic breakdowns, we switch to our 90-day roll-up that stretches back to January 13th, when the sudden rise in Liberal support began. The longer-term roll-ups provide a larger sample size, which allows us to delve into the demographic and regional patterns with greater reliability. The Conservative Party maintains a sizable lead in every province west of Ontario. Importantly, in Ontario, the Conservatives and Liberals are now newly in a statistical tie. More recently, the Liberals are doing much better in Quebec, where the Bloc Québécois search has receded, with the Liberals overtaking the Conservatives for second place. The Liberals have also made impressive recovery in Atlantic Canada. These are voting intentions by region, and you can see the massive amount of support in Alberta. BC has still got massive Conservative support federally. Ontario, it's almost even. Quebec, Conservative support has gone down, and Atlantic Canada, it also has gone down. And this is broken down primarily, mostly men. Like the Conservatives, women are throwing their weight more and more behind the Liberals. And as age demographics go, it's under 35. So the 35 to 49 and the 49 to 64 categories have the highest conservative support. So that's millennials, older millennials, and Gen X. Smarten up, you guys. Smarten up. You're supposed to get more left the older you get, not more right. And there is quite a bit of support for conservatives in the younger age bracket, but not nearly as much of a spread as the other two age brackets. And high school and college graduates are more likely to support the conservatives, where the university educated are more likely to support liberals. And then social class, the conservatives are still tracking really high with the working poor, with the working class, which just really, like, I don't understand that at all. And then we've got fairly, almost tied support in the middle class, and then of course the upper class is fully on board with conservatives. While the trends do not clearly point to the future, they do suggest a major transformation in the current political landscape, which could likely see the Conservatives falling from their entrenched position as a majority winner. If these trends continue, the victor of the next election might be in doubt, something that was highly implausible just 3 weeks ago. And you can, this survey was conducted using interactive voice response technology, which allows respondents to enter their preferences by punching the keypad on their phone rather than telling them to an operator. In an effort to reduce the coverage bias of landline-only random digit dialing, we created a dual landline cell phone RDD sampling frame of this research. As a result, we are able to reach those with a landline and cell phone, as well as cell phone only households and landline only households. The field dates for the 5-day roll-up are January 17th to 21st. In total, a random sampling of 1,018 Canadians aged 18 and over responded to the survey. The margin of error associated with the total sampling is plus or minus 3.1 percentage points, 19 times out of 20. And you can read the rest of that. And there you go, right? Look how quickly that can change. And like I said, polls are something you should take with a grain of salt anyways. However, I thought you guys could all use some really good news. And but this doesn't mean we get cocky, and this doesn't mean we hold up, and this doesn't mean we back off, okay? But things can change like that. And now we know why Pierre wants an election so bad.